I tell people all the time, if you're worried about estate tax, you don't get life because the real tax that you want to worry about is the one that I paid over $100 million of, which was called the dummy tax. Welcome to Entrepreneur, the Playbook. This is David Meltzer with a repeat offender, one of my favorite people, especially in the sports and entertainment world, the incredible president of the San Francisco 49ers and chairman and CEO of Elevate. He elevates others to elevate himself. Al Guido, welcome back to the Playbook.
What's going on, David? Thanks for having me on, man.
We were just discussing what's going on, and it's about to start. The season starts when they release the schedule. When the schedule release, everybody can build a vision, and there's hope and faith for not only the fans, but of course the teams themselves. And it starts with that schedule, and the real work starts with that schedule. What's your mindset right before the release of the schedule as far as manifesting or creating a vision? Obviously, the Super Bowl's in San Francisco, and it certainly would be sweet to have a Niners Super Bowl championship at home.
Well, I think first and foremost, it starts the clock, right? I mean, I guess the offseason is supposed to start, of course, when after the Super Bowl ends and you got the draft and the free agency. So John and Kyle might disagree with that, but for our fans, it really starts when the schedule comes out. They're planning, where they're going to the games, both at home and on the road, who they're going with. You and I were talking about those emails start to flood in the inbox around, hey, can I go to this game or, can I buy these tickets? And so it's definitely the day that everyone starts to activate. And a lot of work goes in before this, as you well know, but, partners start to think about how they're going to activate around certain games and certain days, what primetime games you have, what we might be thinking on uniforms and schedules and all that good stuff. And then, the big one for us is we got a lot to plan for this year. I think it's 270 days. It rotates every day on my desk, 270 days until Super Bowl 60. I'm hoping that we're playing in this one, given it's in our backyard. I hope every year we're doing it, but it'd be special to do it in our backyard. So fun days.
Yeah, really fun days ahead. And there's so much more, though, in being the president of the Niners and chairman and CEO of Elevate. And one of the things that goes overlooked with a lot of executives of teams is the foundation side. And I know recently you've launched your own family foundation. I remember when I was capable, when I first started mine, it to me was one of the biggest honors to my family that I could achieve. I was wondering emotionally how it felt with the Guido Family Foundation when you were able to launch your foundation.
Oh, it was life changing in a lot of ways. I was out on a run one day and I was preparing for the Boston Marathon, which I'd never run a marathon in my life, never actually a sanctioned race. So I was lucky enough and blessed enough to be able to. Sam Kennedy, who's become a dear friend with the Boston Red Sox. A few years ago, as part of Elevate, we acquired a company that Sam had as his brand consulting company, and they were working on the Boston Red Sox, or I'm sorry, the Boston Marathon when we acquired them. And I asked Sam, and he said, "Hey, man, I would love to have you race under our umbrella, Red Sox Foundation." And so I raised some money for them. But I was thinking to myself, like, hey, what else do I want to do? And one day I was out on a run. I was sort of like, hey, why wouldn't I do it for my family and myself, and frankly, give back to all of those who gave me so much. And I know I spent a lot of time with you, David, but my parents were just amazing. My father and mother to be able to do everything scratch and claw, to get me to go to college. I was the first person in my family to go to school. Then to have so many people lift me up through the sports industry. And then these long runs when you're training, man, you're just in your own mind. And I started thinking to myself, a kid from New Jersey, whose father was a truck driver, his mother was an administrator, never really left the tri-state area until I was 24 years old. And then you fast forward to now, and I've been blessed to be to Super Bowls and Kentucky Derbies and college football playoffs, and like the sports world's just given me so much. It's where I met my wife. Now we have three, lovely daughters, and they're playing sports. And so to be able to, launch a foundation, the Guido Family Foundation, to be able to give back to kids who are thinking about a career in the sports or live entertainment industry, it was awesome. And then to see the overwhelming support, we raised over $100,000 in a very short period of time. just around the Boston Marathon, and that was really, really cool. So looking forward to having my first students, I guess, under the Guido Family Foundation. That's when it will become real, when we get to adopt kids into our family and really support them in their efforts.
Well, let me and our team know how we can support the foundation. Obviously aligned, we are always looking with my involvement in junior achievement, Napoleon Hill Found, the Institute and the foundation, and of course, the Unstoppable Foundation supporting other foundations for kids. I will tell you recently, Al, my mom passed away, and it was funny because I got an honorary doctorate right before she passed away. I was the announcement of it. And I told my mom that, her best piece of advice to me was doctor, lawyer, or failure. And so I told her I was proud that I was all three. I was a doctor now, a lawyer, and a failure, obviously. And she said, "You are not a failure." She goes, "Because you have created a foundation to help other people." And I thought to myself, out of all the wonderful experiences and accolades and acknowledgments in my career, good and bad, that the one thing right before she passed that really meant the most was how much I gave back in the family name. So I want to congratulate you.
Awesome.
And I'm so proud of you, by the way. And it's just an honor to be here again with you. A lot of people don't realize too, there's a lot of other cool, excuse my language, cool shit that goes on in your venue. And I know down at SoFi, we're blessed as well as you are blessed to have the World Cup matches coming up in your own backyard as well. I was wondering how you felt about being so involved in sports for so long, the magnitude of the World Cup versus the magnitude of the Super Bowl.
Well, thanks again for sharing that story about your mom, and thoughts and prayers to you. I'm sure she's very proud up there. And so I honestly, David, I don't, there's days where I get caught up in the moments where I honestly don't think about it too much, right? A couple years ago, we set out to be aggressive and to get the Super Bowl and the World Cup. And frankly, a lot of my friends told me in this industry we were crazy to want to host both in the same year. And when someone said that, it just made me more, it made me, more competitive to actually go do it. Uh, Look, I think I've been, again, blessed to do some awesome things. This is going to be another one of those. I don't know how I top it, having two of the world's largest events in our backyard in one calendar year. I will just tell you, like, I wake up kind of nervous and freaked out about it. But it's sort of how I'm built. If that wasn't the case, like, I don't know what I would do. And so you just got to keep, trucking along and understand that you are going to be on the global stage, that yes, you've earned your right to get there, but there's so much more work to have it be a success. And I said to our team the other day, there'd be nothing worse than putting in all this work and effort to land it, investing $200 million plus in the facility, thanks to the York family and others who have obviously helped us do that. The strategy, the vision, the effort, everything that we went into it. And then to say that we sort of tripped up at the finish line or we didn't make it, right? The only success that we will have is when people walk out of here after those two events and they say, "Wow, what an amazing experience that was." For whoever that is, they get to go to those events with, like, that will be the definition of success. That will make it all worthwhile. And it's no different than any other Thursday, Sunday, or Monday, really, except for just the size and scale of it. But to be on the world stage, to have that type of pressure, frankly, I welcome it. The 49ers leadership team welcomes it, because it's what we believe we like to be or viewed as, which is people that are not afraid to take risks, that are not afraid of failure. I use scar tissue as a good thing. Like, scar tissue in life and sports is a good thing. I get on injury side, it's not, but on the business side, it is. And that if you're not failing, you're not trying. And so we got a lot to do. I do not believe we'll fail. As a matter of fact, I know we won't. The only question right now is just how large we succeed, because we've already done so much.
Yeah, it's so fun working with so many executives like you across all the different sports. And I always say it's not the mistakes. People love me because I've made bigger and more mistakes than most people in my career and still somehow have achieved something of significance. But I always say it's not the mistakes, it's the lack of commitment that I see is the only thing that's going to stop you.
Yeah, and honestly, David, you write your own playbook, right? Like I love what's happening on the West Coast right now. And as you know, I'm from the East Coast originally, but to watch what the Warriors did for an All-Star game, what we're gonna do for a Super Bowl and World Cup, what Kevin Demoff's doing at SoFi with the Kroenke family, in and around World Cup, Super Bowl coming, Olympics through what, Casey and team, like if you think about it, the largest events in the world are actually happening right here in California over the course. And I didn't even mention Gillian and Mr. Ballmer and Intuit Dome hosting the next All-Star game. And so, whatever bias people might think there was, the reality is the large scale events, they're all right in this state, and that's a pretty cool thing for Californians.
Yeah, people are just afraid of the weather tax, and I tell people all the time, if you're worried about a state tax, you don't get life because the real tax that you want to worry about is the one that I paid over $100 million of, which was called the dummy tax. And so I could bring some great value. It's interesting the cultural impact of all these different events and all these different people and the significance. I was joking around, anybody that could get Kroenke to pony up more millions after 5.5 billion to host the World Cup. I didn't think he would do it and take down the SoFi name and the other things. It's a cultural significance. The only other thing, and I think you've been there before as well, I still, the Masters, the cultural significance of getting 500,000 people to give their phone away for a day, that may be one of the most significant, powerful cultures, because I don't know very, very few things in the world can get 500,000 people to put their phone away for an entire day. So that's a pretty cultural significance. Last thing, real quick, there's in being an executive of both, Elevate and the team, there's a challenge to live in harmony. And one of the things that I admire most about you as a young executive is that you, having three daughters, I have three daughters and my miracle baby boy, finally, people think my wife's my second wife because I have this younger child. No, she just looks younger. We're the same age, or maybe I just look old. But it is difficult. And I make it a priority, a non-negotiable in my life to live in that harmony that I'm going to achieve everything I can in my career, but not at the expense of harmony in my family. From the outside world and as a friend, it seems as if you are one of the few young executives that really can make that harmony happen. Is there a tip that you can give a lot of these entrepreneurs? Because it's always the biggest challenge when you're putting your life and soul into your career to keep harmony at home.
A good one. I like the term harmony. Look, everyone's got a different definition for certain things, and harmony is different for everyone. I just know for me, the partners you pick both in life and in work matter the most, right? And for me, my partner at home, my wife knows I wouldn't be happy if I wasn't doing the things I'm doing. So just being present wherever I am, right? Whether it's at work or home is probably the most influential thing, David. But the other thing I will say, because that's kind of like buzzwordy, is like you got to be willing to give up something.
Mm.
Like I don't think you can have it all. And what I mean by that is like I have work and I have my kids and I don't have anything else, right? And even if I wanted to, like, I don't have 4 hours to play around in golf, but that's okay, right? I'm probably not as in tune with the friends that I grew up with, and that does bug me. There are moments where, like, man, I wish I could go on that guy's trip, or I wish I could do that. But in times you have to make sacrifices, and the sacrifices I make are the ones that I probably give away a certain thing or two to make sure that I'm with my family or I'm worth my or I'm at my jobs because that's what I'm set to do. And life is in stages and phases, and once you accept them, you realize that there is no, frankly, my daughter said, "Hey, Daddy, you gotta like, why are you excited to go back to work?" And I said, "Well, it's not work for me. It's just what I do." Ernie Johnson said, "I have a get to job, not a got to job. Like I get to do these things, right?" And I think that like as long as you live by that, right? I get to do this job every single day, and I am given the honor of being able to be their father and the husband to my wife. And so just trying to do those things as humanly possible. And I rely on people like yourself and others, frankly, for inspiration. There's a gentleman named Sale Bloom that wrote a book, The Five Types of Wealth, and it really stuck with me during my training for the marathon. There was a quote that he said, and I'm not going to read the whole quote, but it was like everything above zero compounds. And so you're not going to be perfect every day. You're not going to have all the energy every single day. You're not going to show up for everybody in every single way that you want to every single day, but showing up in and of itself matters, because everything above zero compounds. And that's what I try to do. And look, I'm not stealing his quote. That's his. And it's one of the ways I attributed to him. But I think it's important, and try to live my life by that, which is like focus on the things that are important to me most, understand what you're willing to sacrifice or what you're willing to give up, and know that things aren't perfect. But man, if you are where you are and you have that get to mentality, like you're going to be successful on both personal and your career front.
What great advice from you and others that have shared with you. I will leave you with the best advice I received from my grandfather, who simplified life by saying you only need three things in life. One, the right intimate partner, as you suggested, is a liaison between you and everything, your family, your friends, the community. You need one activity you get paid for that you have learned to love and get to do. And then finally, you just need to buy the best bed you can find, because you spend a third of your life with your family and friends, a third of your life at the activity you get paid for, and a third of your life sleeping. And you can take care of all of those. You'll have a harmonious, not a balance, a harmonious existence to consistently, persistently, without quit, pursue your potential. And life then will tell you all its secrets. It'll be easy by identifying the dis-easy. And that's what a great leader does. Al Guido, the great leader, humanitarian philanthropist, great father and husband, president of the San Francisco 49ers and chairman and CEO of Elevate. Always a privilege and an honor. I can't wait to see you at the Super Bowl. Hopefully our two favorite teams will be there, and you can have the best home game of the season. I look forward to seeing you at Super Bowl. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
This is David Meltzer with Entrepreneurs, the Playbook.